and they are translated into amendments into legislation. And we want to wish success to the forum and to this roundtable in particular. We hope that it will be fruitful and it will be useful to all participants. Mr. Nurmagomedov mentioned that we have a very busy schedule today. I wish I could stay with you in this roundtable to discuss the current agenda in the energy sector. You may know we have many different priorities, and I wanted to hear from you what you can propose. But as it was mentioned, we have another session at 3 p.m. That's why I'll try to be very brief and succinct for you. To propose to your consideration, and then we'll see. We are sitting not far from this place, and I hope that we'll have many occasions to meet with each other. You know that development of energy infrastructure is the key factor for sustainable growth, energy security, and investment attractiveness of Kazakhstan and the entire region of Central Asia. In the context of transition to low-carbon economy and energy, I believe we need a systemic transformation of our legislation to ensure predictability, protect interests of investors, and create conditions for attracting private capital. And one of the priorities is to fix in legislation the role of energy accumulation systems, which are becoming necessary as the share of renewable energy sources increases, because they provide for flexibility and reliability of supply. And I think that such storage facilities should be recognized as a full-fledged market operator with the possibility of participating in the capacity ancillary services balancing and backup markets. To encourage investments, I think this area should be prioritized. We need to provide tax and customs incentives, auctions, and guarantee return on investments. Development of retail storage segment is important too, because the return of differentiated tariffs encourages households and small businesses to install batteries or accumulators, and it reduces peak loads and increases energy independence. Storage facilities help to cut infrastructure costs, and this is specifically important for the regions with sparse networks. The next step is to develop direct bilateral agreements in the renewable energy sector. We have a current model with a single barrier. However, I think that it limits flexibility and it needs to be reformed. Also, it is necessary to legislate such concepts as direct contract and direct consumer, and allow the sale of electricity directly to corporate customers, to energy supply companies, miners, and to data centers. Such contracts or agreements should have same status with supplies through the Financial Settlement Center, and those renewable energy power plants should be able to adjust generation schedules 2 hours before delivery. And it is important to provide for flexible contract terms and the possibility to switch to the mechanism covered by the Financial Settlement Center in the event of early termination of contracts. And I believe this will create a market for corporate procurement of green energy, reduce the burden on subsidies, and it will increase sustainability of this sector. And the third important aspect is land, especially in hydropower sector. On numerous occasions when we were developing the loss in the past. Each time we faced this challenge, and it's clear that this is about environment. They play a big role, and there are many of those who protect the environment, and we are keen to avoid environmental disasters. And in addition to that, the land code does not allow land to be granted for renewable energy of hydro power projects without tenders, and this slows down such projects. It is necessary to make exemptions for priority energy projects and simplify the procedure for land allocation, including those lands which are currently covered by forests and protected areas. And it's clear we need to have environmental impact assessment. Also, it is necessary to simplify the seizure of unused privately owned land. However, the compensation should be transparent. These measures are to some extent are in process. We have a law on thermal energy. Some amendments were made to the law on renewable energy sources, and a new model for wholesale market is under development. The digital platform for project support is under development too. Currently, we are revising the subsurface resource use code and other laws, and the government is developing a law on support to alternative energy, which is covering storage or accumulation of energy, direct contracts, and land. And once again, I want to say that Kazakhstan today is forming a new legislative model that supports clean energy, protects investors, reduces barriers, and opens new markets. Once again, I want to reiterate that there are three key areas that deserve attention. They are storage facilities, direct contracts, and land-related procedures. And once we can address and resolve these bottlenecks, I believe our energy sector will be elevated to a better level and will provide a sustainable, flexible, and competitive market. The law on alternative energy is in the government now, and we expect that it will be received by the parliament probably by the end of this year, and I hope that together with you shall be able to discuss details of these initiatives and elaborate this draft law. This was my very brief overview with my ideas. Thank you for our joint work we are conducting together, and I hope that our roundtable will push and drive and incentivize us to address all these issues.
Thank you very much. And for our guests who don't know Dusanbay, he used to work in the Ministry of Energy, and he was actually carrying out reforms on modernizing the energy sector. And for many years, he's been working in the Majlis, and all stakeholders know that he's been actively involved all the time in the reforms. So the reforms were ongoing in the energy sector, and Dusanbay Nurbayevich is always personally involved and takes other parliament members as well into this work. So what we are talking about, the reform of procurement, is very important information for the market players, because we know that all the market players have the proposals on amendments, and I think we'll have this chance actually this autumn to already discuss this in the parliament and further improve the work for the industry, for the country, for the energy sector. Thank you very much for opening our roundtable. Thank you for your participation. And once again, would like to say to the colleagues that Dusinbay has to leave us right now, and we'll continue our work with the remaining speakers. Thank you, Rahmet. I'm very happy to see today at the session the Vice Minister of Energy, Sunkat Khwatovich Yesimkhanov. Sunkat Khwatovich, since the opening was done, I would like to hear some opening remarks from you and ask questions also. So we've been discussing the plans about the growth in the consumption that's included in, that's related to the growth in industry and AI development, and there is a forecast of generation growth. We actually plan to consume 150 kilowatt hours, and the ministry actually talked about increasing twice the generation facilities. And the question is, what do you think? What is the dynamics of these plans? Are they going to be implemented? Will you track the progress of the implementation of such plans? And after your reply, I have one more question to you, if I may. Thank you very much. Thank you, distinguished colleagues, dear colleagues and friends. Welcome to the forum. Dusinbay Nurbail actually stressed that this is a traditional forum, and usually we talked about oil and gas before, but this year we have a more overall term energy related, so we discuss all the issues related to energy, because energy is holding lots of informational publicity work in this area. And before you worked more in oil and gas area, now you are more focused on the energy wide issues, energy sector. What for us is important is the participation in the session that is important for our sector. I wish success and good luck to all of you. It's an international forum, so we talk not only about reforms in Kazakhstan, but we should also talk with the relations with our neighbors. So I think I will get straight to answering the question. I can transfer to Russian so that all the colleagues can understand me. Speaking about the energy sector development, I would say that we actually always talk about this on all the platforms. There are macro plans. Of course, we can always be critical and say that energy is one thing and industry economy is another thing, but we are actually now having a more holistic consensus view. We're starting understanding this, and we have prepared a plan until 2035. It's quite ambitious, 25 gigawatts. That's what we hear everywhere. That's the maximum consumption now is 17 gigawatts now, so I think we should implement the plans. Well, actually, the 100% implementation of such plans is possibly not possible, but if we implement 70-80%, it's very good. But we should understand that 26 gigawatts, 10 gigawatts, this is the renewable energy that probably cannot exist on its own as a separate generation. So in parallel, we talk about the regulation, about this energy storage systems, and the Majlis Parliament member talked about this. We have also plans on the gas generation as well. We are developing them stage by stage, and we have held bidding auctions, and we have investment proposals from our colleagues. And the main stakeholders and the main implementers are here with us at this table. So I think when they get the floor, they will tell us in more details about these numbers. And we actually believe in these figures. The only thing we have to ensure the consumption. What you mentioned, the forecasted consumption, yes, we do forecast the growth in consumption. That's what we discuss now. But at the same time, we need to understand that while building the new generation facilities, we will receive quite significant tariff growth. And so we should clearly understand this, that this will lead to the tariff growth. So whether this will be sustainable for the economy, it's a question. And but we do have the plans for each of the projects. And speaking about Central Asia, unfortunately, not all the colleagues were able to come from other countries. But what's important, the development should be done not only within Kazakhstan, but with our neighbors. This is water energy plans that we develop actually daily and ensure water provision to the southern regions. So cooperation with the Kyrgyz energy sector and Central Asia as a whole. So this is quite important, and not only generation is important, but also infrastructure development. So together we are working on this. Renewables energy development at all the big forums where we see the renewable energy market players, we always say as the government that the time of 100% beneficial conditions is finished for renewable energy, so don't be hurt. I actually, what I would like to tell you now, that you should be the market players, and Ms. Mariam is smiling now. I can see that having such a big project with some beneficiary terms. I think after they set it up and start working as the largest market player, world player, and say that we should have the even playing field and we are ready to work in the market, and they as a partners of Samruk should serve as an example and not request for additional beneficial conditions. So we should actually consider this together. If we see it separately fragmented, so it will be a fragmented view. Because every area in the sector thinks themselves the most important and that they need the beneficial terms. But for example, the clean coal, the investors also say we need more incentives. You see, everybody would say this. So we'll continue this work. I would argue that the market should be like completely reformed. No, but we need to move forward. That's clear. And while we're discussing step by step, we'll get to some right terms. And so that with not taking more of your time, maybe I was a little bit speaking too spontaneously, but anyway, my colleagues will come up with more figures. Thank you very much. Well, actually, we need to build more and electrical energy will be more expensive. And before lunch, ministers of Central Asian in energy, they would say that we will trade with each other, with Uzbekistan in particular. And every country has plans for development, including renewable energy and the conventional energy like hydropower plant, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, for example. Kyrgyzstan. And whether it is realistic, do you think, to have this trade in Central Asia between the countries, between the country operators, considering that the price level in every country is different and the consumption purchasing power is different, you know? For example, in Kazakhstan is like about 6 cents. And do you think this mutual trade, is it possible at all? Well, that's quite a sincere question, and I would be frank. I would say that I will start with the general power market that we are going to do, and there are risks. And so first, what we are discussing with all of our partners, Kyrgyz Republic and Russia and Belarus. So what can I say? Not trade as subjects, but trade as operators. There should be operators that would do the trade because we have the obligations. You know that, for example, the most important obligation is to buy renewable energy. We have intergovernmental agreements and other contracts. We have this obligation to buy renewable energy for 20-25 years, and we should consume this energy. And if we open the market, that will be difficult. Speaking about our relations with Central Asia, I think in the nearest future we do have the potential to trade with each other, and well, this will not be like just supplying power to each other. We understand that Tajik and Kyrgyz Republic neighbors, 7 to 10 years, their need will be there and they will consume our energy. But speaking about the price, that's a different issue. And our 6 cents, I won't comment on it now. There are some details about this. And I think if we move forward, I think we'll be able to reduce this price at the wholesale market. And the trade with our neighbors is quite realistic, specifically. And about the projects, 26 gigawatts, if we don't implement them on peak periods, we actually do have this need, and we have to buy the energy from other neighboring countries. So in future, if we have the trade, if we have the competition, we should open, and our power plant should be ready for this competition. But for this, I think we should ensure the balancing and maneuvering and many other things. Thank you very much, Sungat Kwadrich. And once again, quite straight, and some things are less straightforward. We'll have to decode them. And speaking about today's session, we are actually taking notes, and if there are any quotes of today's speakers, we would like to further work on that and work on the implementation. Thank you very much. Now I would like to get forward and get to our guests. Ms. Mariam, thank you very much. We are very happy to see you at the forum. Thank you for joining. And our today's speakers, Masdar Company and Samruk Energy and Kegok are the sponsors of this event. So I would like, that's why we were able to use this beautiful facility. Thank you to our sponsors for your support. And I would like to ask you questions about Masdar plans. We know that you have talked about 100 gigawatts to have the full portfolio of projects. We know that you are active in the region, and we congratulate you with the successful launch of the first project. That's a flagship project in Kazakhstan. And my question, it's clear that the countries are different in legislation, business, and economy. So what efforts do you think, in percentage maybe, or what attention is given to the regions? Like, how do you divide resources to Azerbaijan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan? We know you have big plans. So how do you see the region, and what are your plans in the region?
For your question, and let me first begin by saying how delighted I am to be here I'm participating in Kazakhstan Energy Week. We're very honored to sponsor the event. This is our first official participation, but definitely not going to be the last, as we're building a long-term partnership and relationship with with our stakeholders. I'm also delighted to be speaking among our partners, Ministry of Energy, KIGOC, Samruk Energy, and of course IFC and World Bank. So thank you very much for inviting us. Before I answer your question, let me speak a bit about Masdar, taking the opportunity of being here. And for those who doesn't know Masdar, so Masdar basically established 2 decades ago in Abu Dhabi. Today we are present in more than 40 countries. We have a project of over 50 gigawatts across different continents. And as you clearly mentioned, the leadership has set a target for us to achieve 100 gigawatts by 2030. So we are on that path to achieve the target. And of course, the Central Asia and CIS is a core market for us. We've entered this market early on, and we were the first mover in this region, and we're very proud that we were the first mover. We encourage other companies and other investors as well to come and explore a region that is rich with solar and wind resources. So we started in Uzbekistan as our first mover. Today we have already 2 gigawatts of projects. So we deployed around $2 billion in Uzbekistan. We're also very active in Azerbaijan. We started 2018 as well, and we're very proud that we also developed the first utility scale project in Azerbaijan. We're currently, our portfolio capacity is around 1.2 gigawatts, so that's around as well over $1 billion. We're very happy as well that we launched already the relationship and the project development in Kazakhstan. Of course, we have a very strong government-to-government relations between the United Arab Emirates and the Republic of Kazakhstan. We're currently developing, it's going to be the largest wind farm in the Central Asia. So that's a huge, it's 1 gigawatt onshore wind project in Jumber region with 600 megawatt hour battery storage and with extensive overhead transmission line. This is not Masdar project only. We're working with partners. We're developing this project with Samruk Energy and its subsidiary QGP, KIDF, and of course 2 Abu Dhabi investors along with Masdar and W Solar. Not only that, so these are only the sponsors, but the project cannot be implemented without the stakeholders, KIGOC, IFC, Ministry of Energy, Ministry of Economy, Ministry of Finance. So collaboration is key. We've seen this not only in the region, but across different continents. When there is a collaboration across different stakeholders, there will be always a successful story to tell. And currently the project is at a very advanced stage development, thanks to the support that we have been receiving from the Kazakhstani side, including all the ministries, the partners, and the parliament as well. They were very supportive. We're expediting the development of the project. When the project will be operational, it will provide and supply clean energy to around 300,000 houses. It will avoid around 2 million tons of CO2 emission on an annual basis, and that's a huge. It's a significant project. So we're talking about over $1 billion as well. When it comes to the region, I would also like to touch on the region, since we've been clearly working on this region for quite some time. There are a lot of areas of energy infrastructure where Masdar see as a promising areas, one of which, of course, I've mentioned, the solar and wind. There is a lot of resources in the region that can be tapped and unlocked, not only to satisfy the domestic demand, We have seen, and His Excellency mentioned, the collaboration across different regions. There are already talks between Azerbaijan, Uzbekistan, and Kazakhstan to connect the grid infrastructure for the purpose of exporting clean energy. So these resources can be definitely utilized. The second point that I'd like to mention is the battery storage and hybrid solution. Of course, with the integration of the renewable energy, and I'm sure Kigok will understand the challenges that comes with integrating gigawatts of capacities to the grid, you will need battery storage. And nowadays, we can see that developers can provide a competitive pricing for battery storage. In fact, we are as well at Masdar, we announced earlier this year that we can provide round-the-clock green energy resources, 24/7. So that's combining renewables and battery storage. This is not a theory, it's happening, it's currently being implemented, and I'm very confident that it can be implemented as well in the Central Asia. And we're actually working with our partner to see if we can implement such a concept in the region. Third one, and this is, I think, a common, let's say, enabler, the infrastructure. And we're talking about the grid infrastructure, the transmission line, the regional interconnection. So it's important as well to ensure that the grid infrastructure will be available. And more importantly, we should not push all of these things to the government. The investors, the DFIs as well, should be part of the story to tell. So in terms of taking the mandate, it should be a balance and a fair mandate between the different stakeholders involved in the process.
Спасибо большое за...
Thank you. Thank you for your information, for your overview. I think that Masdar is very ambitious and your plans will be implemented. From what we heard from you, the scope of investments and projects, can we conclude that your favorite country in Central Asia is Uzbekistan because you invest more into that country?
That's not true. I actually spent a lot of time in these three countries. So last week I was in Azerbaijan, this week in Kazakhstan, potentially next week in Uzbekistan. And we're also active in other countries in the region. So we're also having a discussion with Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan. It's still early stage, but there are also discussions. Actually, it's my favorite region, favorite people, and favorite food as well.
Спасибо большое.
Thank you very much. We understand your response that Masdar has more plans for Kazakhstan, and though Uzbekistan received more investments so far than Kazakhstan, but the future is in Kazakhstan as well. Thank you. Since Masdar mentioned its partner, its key partner, Samruk Energy, and Samruk Energy, from what we can read in media, and we see that they have ambitious plans. They are leading in terms of generation capacities. This is the largest energy company in the market. The leadership of the company announced about 15 gigawatt of new generation that is managed by Samruk Energy. Mr. Maksutov, can you share your plans in terms of development of renewables, hydropower, coal generation, and your projects you have with your partners? Thank you. Thank you, dear colleagues. First of all, I would like to congratulate the association with such important anniversary, 20th anniversary. This time and over this period, you have achieved a lot in terms of consolidation of the market, addressing challenges of the energy sector. And I will reiterate of what the Deputy Minister said. Recently, we focus on power energy in this association has been shifted, and it's very good. And I think that we needed to thank you, Mr. Jandos, and you were sitting in the best room as well. Digital bridge. I think we, the president, were sitting in the worst room than we do. And I will not present many figures, but I will mention a few of them. I want to tell that 4% of generation in the country is done by our companies, 42% of coal production, 25 subsidiaries, 20,000 workforce. And on this slide, this is a map of our assets, and we can move forward. I want to mention about our key activities mentioned in our strategy. We are developing energy infrastructure, and we want to focus on 5 priorities. First is about investment projects and generation. I will provide more details and bring some figures and mention partners we have. And since I mentioned that we have 34% of generation, 42% of coal production, a big objective for us is to modernize these assets. You know that these assets have been built 40 to 50 years ago, and we need to upgrade and modernize them to reduce carbon emissions. Probably clean coal technology cannot be used in the current boilers, but at least we shall be able to minimize the adverse impact. Next, current trend. Everyone is speaking about it. This is digitalization and artificial intelligence. We, energy experts, should not stand aside. Recently, we signed a strategic document with Chinese company to work jointly on implementing digital solutions and artificial intelligence. We all know that China has a huge experience, and they made a technology breakthrough in terms of equipment and digitalization as well. There are some case studies, and we have some developments as well in terms of predictive forecasting and prevention of incidents. Prediction of renewable energy generation, wind force or wind intensity, and smart coal mine or coal pit, where we can use unmanned vehicles. So we have some projects in mind, and one more important priority is research and development. We plan to invest in innovations, and we have great plans to establish a research hub. We do not have our analytical center yet. We don't have a think tank, but I think it's worth establishing, and all our operators would be invited to collaboration. And human capital development. This is about the expertise through training, international internships, and cooperation with leading universities and companies. On the next slide, I want to present our current investment portfolio. Mr. Jandos asked us about if we refer to the plans of Kazakhstan to implement 21 gigawatts. In the past, it was 26 gigawatt. Now it has been adjusted to 21 gigawatts of new capacities. And this is the portfolio of Samruk Energy. Almost 60% of new generation will be done by Samruk Energy.
So this includes coal power generation and gas generation and hydropower. And we should say that two big projects we have now on the construction of hydro accumulating stations, we don't have them now in Kazakhstan, although we've been building them for more than 10 years, but still we don't have them. So two companies are now implementing these two projects, and that will be 1.2 gigawatts and 600 megawatts. So 1.8, this will be the hydropower in Almaty rivers, Almaty region. So, and speaking about our partners, this is Masdar company as well, and we have other companies such as Total, Chinese companies, Obacom company, and of course there is a big list of Chinese companies that we are now developing our partnerships with. So in a nutshell, this is the overview of our investment portfolio of Samruk Energy. Thank you. Thank you very much for this information and for the areas of your work that you have told us. And you actually implement such large-scale projects. That's why we speak in this big room. And thank you being our sponsor as well. As you know, I would like to give a comment so that colleagues understand that Samruk Energy, of course, is the biggest player in the market, but so that we understand the numbers. So maybe the ministry speaks about 26 and Samruk talks about 21. Well, actually 26, 21 is the new generation, but that includes renewable energy. And 5 gigawatts is the modernization of the existing power stations. And that's what the Samruk Energo is not involved in. That's why they didn't mention this. And so we should have the correct information. Samruk Energo is doing the projects of hydropower, and this amount is actually not included into our figures. We are now discussing this, how this should be done legally. 4.7 gigawatts, the coal-fired generation, so that's going to be a bidding tender, and if Samruk Energo is not winning, then you will take it out from your presentation. 2.3 gigawatts, yes, that's right. Thank you very much for the comment. And considering, now I would like to give the floor to the KIGOC CEO. And we understand that building generation is not possible without the network development. We know that you have a big program of modernization, so we would like to ask you about the plans of developing the network. Do you have enough financial resources to implement these projects? And a small question to you, your services, will they be more expensive as a systemic operator after you implement this project? Good day, distinguished participants of our roundtable, distinguished colleagues. Thank you very much. So let me thank KazEnergy for organizing this important industry event. Well, the level of this year forum is very high. More than 2,000 applications were received to participate in the forum. Well, actually, this is also thanks to the professionalism of Zhandos Dusinelevich, since he worked as part of the systemic operator and was the Vice Minister of Energy as well. Let me give you some figures as well. Well, the main objective of KIGOC is ensure a reliable and sustainable operation of the national electrical grid of Kazakhstan. Now we are working under peak load conditions, and that's actually defines some difficulties we are facing. But in general, the company continues its development and construction of new electrical networks, and according to the long-term development strategy that we presented in the government, and we are working according to this strategy. Today, speaking about the figures on renewable energy, so, for example, as of January 1st, 2025, the share of electrical generation from renewable sources was 6.8%. So, and to create sustainable energy balance, we are now expecting changes in the generation structure, and the main trend in the coming years is focused not only environmentally clean ways, but also basic energy sources. Speaking about renewable energy sector, the installed capacity will increase almost fivefold by 2035, from 3.1 gigawatt to 14.6 gigawatt in 2035. This is all related to the solar and wind generation projects, as well as development of small hydroelectric power plants. And as Sungat Quatic said, that there are big projects are now implemented under PPA contracts. There are large projects such as Masdar, PIX, Total, Genjubal company. We do have big projects, and we also have auctions, competitions that are also planned to be held by 2035. Apart from renewable energy, we expect the growth of gas-fired power generation, and the capacity will also increase twice, from 6 gigawatts today, planned to increase it up to 13.8 gigawatts. This is due to its role as a transitional source in ensuring grid flexibility with a high share of renewable energy. In addition to conventional sources, in 2035, an alternative basic sources will be added, such as the introduction of nuclear generation with the installed capacity of 2.4 gigawatts is planned, which will expand the share of low-carbon energy in the overall balance and improve the reliability of energy supply. In 2035, the installed capacity of renewable energy sources will be about 14.5 gigawatts, and its share in the generation structure will be 27%, with a target indicator of 15% for 2030. Speaking about the prospects of developing the national electrical grid and speaking about the national security, we have developed the strategic vision for development until 2035. We should note that KEGAC is already implementing projects to strengthen the southern zone grid, increasing transmission capacity by 450 megawatts, and we are working in partnership with the World Bank. And the second project is to connect the western zone of Kazakhstan with the unified energy system of Kazakhstan, increasing transmission capacity by 500 megawatts. And we are working in partnership with EBRD. Both projects are already started, and we plan to complete it in 2027. Also, we are working to prepare projects to increase the transit potential and throughput capacity. This is a project of a unified energy system of Kazakhstan, so that's the north-south transit line. So this project will enable us to increase the throughput capacity of the north-south up to 2 gigawatts. This project will enable us to efficiently integrate renewable energy sources as well as the atom nuclear power plant energy that is planned to be built. There are a number of other important projects. In particular, we have planned to strengthen the Karaganda Central Port to build a new digital substation in Astana city. And we plan to implement this project considering the modern digital solutions. And these projects will further increase the reliability of electrical power supply to the capital. Further projects are planned to strengthen the Western energy zone. We plan to strengthen the Western energy zone and with subsequent looping of the entire Kazakhstan energy system. In total, approximately 7,000 kilometers of new power transmission lines are expected to be built, which will actually cover all regions of the country with the 500 kilovolt lines, creating a reliable energy system for the development of the united energy system of Kazakhstan, connecting the entire country's energy zones. Speaking about your question, whether the company will ensure the, to attract all the investment needed. Well, actually, let me note that all the projects that I have mentioned today, they are included in the national plan modernization of the energy and utilities sectors, which actually ensure the financing mechanisms. And the KIGOK company, we will finance on our own some part of it, and we should consider that the implementation of such projects is planned step by step by 2035, and that will actually make the tariffs grow more smooth, and borrowing capacity enables us to implement such planned projects. The financing structure is actually quite simple. This is 70 to 30. 70% is own capital, 30% the borrowings. And the cost of investment is actually reimbursed by tariff, but the part of tariff is not that part of KIGOK, it's only 7%. And the implementation of all these large projects is almost have no effect on the final user. The effect will be less than 1%. So the effect on the final tariff is not that big. Also, KIGOK has very good high credit ratings from all the leading agencies, and that's sovereign ratings, and they are on the same level as the Kazakhstan level. That actually confirms our solvency. And considering that there will be a stage-by-stage implementation that actually won't affect the final consumer that much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for the detailed information about your large-scale plans and investments. And as a head of a public company, if somebody would say about the cost of tariffs, it may affect the shares price. So it's very optimistic. We see that this effect won't be that high. So we'll actually track the KIGOK project's development. Thank you very much. And after presenting the plans of the energy companies and government agencies, we need to understand who is going to finance this. And so the most important talk is for Ms. Travali. You are very active as the World Bank, as the group of the World Bank companies. You are very active in the region. IFC is more active in Uzbekistan, for example. And we would like to hear from you. What's your experience? What is your plans of building the generation facilities and transmission lines and modernization of infrastructure? We know that huge financing is needed, and without international financial institutions, we cannot do. What do you think the IFC plans and Kazakhstan plans to work together in the region? Are they realistic? Could you share this information? Thank you.
Sure, thank you. I mean, just want to start by saying that there is no preference of countries. We have to be in all countries. It's true that so far we have been more active in Uzbekistan. Tajikistan is coming, Kazakhstan as well is coming. So how do we feature, I would say, this region? Demand is expanding rapidly. Aging systems, this is what we are saying. Operational fragility, which leads to system losses well above international standards. Abundant renewal potential in this region. Will it be in solar? Will it be in wind? Will it be in hydro? And this is, I would say, a vast, untapped sector. However, at the same time, ambitious programs from each government, which are explicit, but challenging, I would say, to meet. But we are here for that, to see how to meet all these targets. So translating these targets into bankable projects at scale, because we need to see as well how to replicate this and have an impact, I would say, on the population, on the sectors, industrial sectors as a whole, is now the immediate test. At the financial level, what are the core financing challenges that we are seeing today? High upfront capital cost and high cost of capital. Policy and regulatory uncertainty, infrastructure and market constraints. IFC's role, I would say, as large is, as you mentioned, in the large-scale energy project in this region, can be translated through different ways. Let me start by talking about the public-private partnerships and the advisory services that we can provide. PPPs, meaning standing for public-private partnership, are one of the most effective models for scaling investment. They provide governments with a structured way to share risk, and they give investors the clarity that they need to commit capital. For that, we have been quite active in Uzbekistan. Sorry to highlight this country again. I mean, through combined cycle gas turbine, CCGT project that we financed in 2023 in Sirdarya. And actually, this was the first large-scale, competitively tendered independent thermal power in Uzbekistan. Another how can I say, instrument that I would like to highlight is, and which is key in this region, is blended finance. Blended finance can be transformative where emerging technologies or markets face higher risk. By combining commercial loans, so from the banks, with concessional funding, IFC can reduce costs and make pioneering projects viable. Again, in Uzbekistan, we worked very closely with Masdar for the Nur Bukhara solar PV project with battery storage. And this one was the first solar plus storage project in Central Asia and the first project finance transaction of IFC worldwide, featuring a large-scale BESS, I mean battery energy storage system. The lessons learned that I would like to share here with everyone when it comes to blended finance is that it can play a transformative role in enabling pioneering projects, particularly where emerging technologies in emerging markets like battery storage are involved. And together with another DFI, the Asian Development Bank, we brought concessional financing for this first project of the region, and this is expected to help lowering the overall financing cost and enabling a more competitive tariff, which is really critical for the population. And commitment of the government to sector reforms and transparent processes has been essential for building long-term investor confidence. And another financial instrument that I would like to share here is Islamic finance example. Something that we have done with another operator, Aqua, recently to meet the diverse needs of international investors. So we structured a Murabaha-based Islamic finance tranche alongside the conventional project finance loans. And another innovative instrument that I would like to highlight as well is the climate finance example. And this is something that we just did in Tajikistan, the first green bond, to expand access to climate finance and create new channels for mobilizing private investment. So this is the first green bond in the country issued by a bank. So it was in 2024. So all this to say that IFC lays the foundation, I would say, for domestic banks and corporates to issue sustainable debt instrument aligned with international best practices. So let me maybe leave you with a few numbers to illustrate the catalytic role that IFC has been playing. During the 12 months from July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024, IFC committed over 1 billion in Central Asia. And in the Middle East and Central Asia region, these investments that IFC supported have helped generate more than 12,000 gigawatts of power for 8 million customers. It helps as well supported its distribution to 2 million customers, and it has created jobs for other 13,000 people, including 2,200 women. So within the Central Asia and Turkey region that I'm in charge of only, IFC committed 116 million through the Uzbekistan Scaling Solar 3 renewable energy project, which is expected to generate roughly 585 gigawatts of clean energy annually. So the lessons that I would like really to share with everybody here is transparent tenders bring in world-class sponsors like Mazda, Aqua, and others that no need to name them. Blended finance makes pioneering projects affordable, and innovative instruments expand the investor base. Thank you.
Большое спасибо, госпожа Траволи, за информацию.
Thank you for this information about your investments in the region. We can conclude that $1 billion that was allocated left Kazakhstan behind, unfortunately.
Я думаю, что у нас
I understand that it's our future because you have so many projects and definitely companies will approach the World Bank and the government will approach the World Bank group, including IFC. I'm looking at Deputy Minister. I see that he didn't like your comment about regulatory uncertainty, and probably you can discuss it during the coffee break. I have a question. In the neighboring room, we have a session on atomic or nuclear energy. You remember Kazakhstan announced about building a nuclear energy power plant, and now the World Bank group has a new leadership, and the messages we heard is that nuclear will be part of the project pipeline. Does IFC consider involvement in nuclear energy? So Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan announced about such plans. Will you among sponsors of those potential projects?
I mean, the question is very timely because last week, actually, we did have a session with the president of the World Bank Group, which is actually he's widening the role that IFC can play in the energy as a whole. And it seems that sectors like nuclear, where we were not there, may be on the list. So give us a couple of weeks to know exactly how we can tap into this sector. But I think we are on the right path. I'm talking under the control of my brother, if I can say, Andre from the World Bank. But it's coming. These are the instructions that we got just last week.
Да, спасибо большое за
Thank you for this information. If we could communicate this message before the forum, I would say the left side of our room would be filled with people from the nuclear energy sector. Thank you very much for your message. And now I invite our colleague and friend, Andrei Mikhnev. Please share your insights and closing remarks for you, and we'll have more time to have some informal discussions as well.
Really a pleasure being here with such distinguished panel, and of course all our partners from the government, from the private sector, from the key companies operating in the market in Kazakhstan. From the World Bank side, we've been working with Kazakhstan for many years, and also other countries in Central Asia. And what we are bringing is financing, of course, but also global knowledge for many, many years and decades, which has been generated. So Kazakhstan, as a member country, of course, of the World Bank, is completely open to getting to this knowledge and expertise. And as you correctly mentioned, Jandos, as a World Bank group, we have different organizations serving different purpose of our clients. What has been said today is really important, that there is a very ambitious program, and the government see this ambitious program to be with certain targets to be achieved. And our colleagues also from Kigok and Samruk Energy also mentioned in generation, in transmission, there's a huge need to expand their infrastructure to address the needs, growing demand of the energy in the region. I think one figure that our recent research said that energy demand in the region may increase by about 30% by 2030 and potentially quadruple by 2050. So the needs for energy in the region is really, really important. What is needed is not only infrastructure, and not only in each separate country. So if one point I would like to make today for our participants to remember, that for Central Asia, regional integration, having a joint market of electricity among 5 Central Asian countries is becoming extremely important. Here, where the potential is huge in economic savings, in ensuring that all the demand, which I already mentioned, could be realized. It's also important to ensure energy security and with the good mechanism for ensuring transboundary trade of electricity. That's probably one of the important prerequisites. Again, our estimates showing that economic benefits from deeper regional connectivity could reach around 15 billion US dollars between 2025 and 2050. And then also rising to 26 billion if it's used a low carbon scenario that our colleagues have been also talking on that. In this regard, I would like to also inform that the World Bank has launched a regional electricity market interconnectivity and trade REMIT project with indicative amount of 1 billion US dollars, which will focus in particular on issues I mentioned. How to ensure that 5 countries of Central Asia could benefit from better interconnectivity and using the benefits for that. And the project has been already focusing on a few issues. First is, of course, workable regional trading platform that needs to be fully operational. We know that there are a lot of trade happening through bilateral agreement, but it's good to hear that it's also important to ensure that it's like next day trade could be happening, and there should be institutional mechanism for that, but also an infrastructure on that. We already allocated about 160 million to Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and Kyrgyz Republic to finance their key transmission infrastructure to expand the regional connectivity of the Central Asian country. And of course, participation of countries such as Kazakhstan is most welcome, of course, especially in the regions where you have borders with your partners. Finally, just to support the importance of regional energy market, I wanted to mention that the World Bank is supporting transformational projects that being built by your neighbors, like Ragun in Tajikistan hydropower plant, as well as Kambarata 1, which is going to be in Kyrgyz Republic. So to sum up, as you said, it's important to see different players having the common understanding what are the needs for energy market exist, how it could be done, and I think the combination of the private capital, combination of the government resources, as well as international partners, could help us enable that and have a more brighter future with the rising energy demand in Kazakhstan, in the Central Asia. From the World Bank Group side, IFIs, our private sector arm, and from the public financing from our side, we are ready to continue our cooperation. We have been discussing quite a few projects, honestly, in Kazakhstan. We hope many of them will come to fruition. My colleague mentioned some kind of procedural regulatory things that exist in Kazakhstan, especially with the sovereign financing. I hope it also could be resolved, and we'll have like really good financing terms and financing amounts for Kazakhstan energy sector. Thank you.
Большое спасибо.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mikhnev. Thank you for this optimistic note that the World Bank will participate in all the projects on generation. And I think on this note, we can finish the session. And that's how we actually invited and provided you seats here, the private sector, the government, the international financial institutions all together at one table. I would like to thank the speakers. I would like to thank our guests. And if they have questions, they will ask them. And Suat Kombatovich, thank you very much for your participation. And here we have the wall with our logos of our great sponsors. And I request the speakers to take a picture in front of this wall. Thank you. Well, I think those projects that were presented here by Masdar, Samrukenergo, Kekok, after they are implemented at the next forums, they won't be bronze sponsors, they will be golden sponsors. Inshallah. Thank you very much. Thank you.